Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this Cal Week information session for environmental sciences. My name is Leleña Avila. Pronouns are she and her, and I'm the academic advisor, or one of the academic advisors within Rausser College of Natural Resources. I will be serving as moderator for this session. Also assisting me with moderation for this information session is our intake coordinator, Craig Crossley.
Hello, friends. My name is Craig Crossley. I use he, him pronouns. I'm the intake advisor for Rausser College's undergrad advising office. And I do everything from like helping you connect with your major advisors or answering general inquiries about college deadlines, policies, things like that. I wear a lot of hats, which include working with our peer advisors, which you'll meet, and our work study students. I manage a weekly email that goes out, which includes updates to our virtual bulletin board, which I manage. We have our Instagram account, CNR Advising, as well as a Facebook account, and website updates, probably a lot of other things I'm forgetting, but you'll be seeing a lot of me throughout your time here at Berkeley, and I'm happy to help you. Yeah, cheers, welcome.
Great, thank you, Craig. So before we begin, we would like to recognize that UC Berkeley sits on the territory of the Huchun, the ancestral and unceded land of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people, the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Alameda County. This land was and continues to be of great importance to the Muwekma Ohlone tribe and other familial descendants of the Verona Band. We recognize that every member of the Berkeley community has and continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land since the institution's founding in 1868. Consistent with our values of community, inclusion, and diversity, we have a responsibility to acknowledge and make visible the university's relationship to Native peoples. As members of the Berkeley community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land on which we stand, but also we recognize that the Muwekma Ohlone people are alive and flourishing members of the Berkeley and broader Bay Area communities today. This land acknowledgement was created by UC Berkeley's Native American Student Development and the Muwekma Ohlone tribe, and we will post some links in the chat for some additional information. So to start off today's session, I would like to discuss with you the outline for today's information, the session before introducing our panelists. So as you may have noticed, you can see us, but we cannot see or hear you. So if you have any questions today, please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and Craig will make sure that we see them. We will start off with 3 initial questions for our panelists. After those 3 questions, we will begin answering questions from you. We will also record this session. It's already being recorded. And the recording and chat log will be posting sometime hopefully later in the week. Lastly, at the end of this session, we will post contact information in the chat window just in case we missed a question that has come up, or we don't have time to get to all of the questions in the session, so that you can still have an opportunity to ask them and get your answers. So now that we've gotten all of those logistics out of the way, let me once again welcome you to our Cal Week information session for environmental sciences. For those of you who are new admits, and I'm assuming most of you are, congratulations on your admission to the university. We really hope that you find this session helpful and that you will join us at Cal in the fall semester. So today we have 4 panelists to talk about the environmental science major. First, we have Jenny Miner, the academic advisor for the environmental sciences major.
Awesome, welcome y'all. So good to see people, well not see, but imagine people in the audience and incoming students. And we hope to see you and hear you in person and on Zoom soon. My name is Jenny Miner. I use she or they pronouns, and I'm the academic advisor for all the environmental sciences majors. I've been on campus since 2017. Before this, I worked at International House, which is an international living and learning community on campus where juniors and seniors and grad students can live. It's a really cool place, and have been at CNR for a little over a year. And it's really been an honor to advise ES students and just work with students who are so committed and motivated to, contributing to a more sustainable future in such a broad variety of ways.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jenny. Next, we have our 3 peer advising leaders that we call PALs, and one is and one current ES student. Let's see here. We have Hannah, Aileen, and Zeynep. Hannah, do you want to go first?
Hi, my name is Hannah. I am an environmental science major. I'm a junior. I've been at Berkeley for 3 years now, and I'm minoring in geography also. At Berkeley, I am a peer advisor for the Rausser College of Natural Resources, so I help you all pick like classes, Berkeley Berkeley advice, anything that might come up that you need to direct to a peer advisor, I can help with. And I also work at the campus Office of Environment, Health, and Safety, which is super cool. Yeah, that's me.
Great. Aileen?
Hi, so I'm Aileen. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a senior environmental science major. I'm also a PAL, so it's really great to get to know prospective students, but then also current students. And then outside of that, I work in a lab on campus. I work at the Museum of Vertebrate Zoology, which is at the Valley of Life Science building. So I do like herpetology curation, and then also I work in the prep lab, which is like preparing animal specimens. So really cool. And then I'm also in the Environmental Science Student Association. So yeah.
Wonderful. And next, Zeynep.
Hey everyone, my name is Zeynep. I use the pronouns she, her, hers, and I'm also an environmental sciences major. I'm not a peer advisor leader, but I'm very familiar with the college and I'm a sophomore. I was a biology 1B undergraduate learning mentor. I took a break this semester, but I'm going to become one this summer. So what I do is basically I help teach the labs and I help the graduate student instructors during the lab. And I'm also a campus ambassador. So I'm the one that walks backwards when things are in person, giving the tours. Very nice to have you all here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. We have a few questions that we want to start off with. I'm going to first say the questions that we're going to ask and who we're going to address it, and then we'll kind of start from the top to actually answer those questions. So first I will ask Jenny, can you describe the environmental science major to us along with its course requirements? Next question will be for the PALs to address what it's like to be an environmental science major. And what has been your favorite class or experience as an environmental sciences major? And then our last questions will be for the PALs. What profession do you hope to have after graduating? And to Jenny, what are some of the common careers that alumni have pursued? So we'll start back from the top. For Jenny, can you describe the environmental science major to us along with its course requirements?
Yes. So the ES major is a broad and interdisciplinary major that focuses on environmental issues from a wide variety of different approaches. So it includes topics and methods from chemistry, biology, engineering, data science, education, social sciences, economics, and kind of you name it. Students are able to choose kind of what they focus on within the major through the senior thesis and kind of are able to kind of specialize or like pick what they focus on within the broader umbrella of ES, but all ES majors get a really well-rounded, solid foundation in the sciences. I'm just gonna share my screen for a sec to give y'all a visual on kind of what the ES course requirements are. So this is the ES major snapshot, which we'll also post in the chat. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger here. But basically for undergrad requirements, Independent of what concentration you do, you'll need 2 semesters of calculus, 2 semesters of chemistry, 2 semesters of biology, and at least 1 semester of physics. The physical science track is kind of more for students interested in engineering or computer science, or really into kind of the chemistry side of things. It's probably the least popular because it requires kind of the harder version of math and 2 semesters of physics. Biological science concentration is probably the most popular, and it does require organic chemistry and also kind of 2 semesters of general biology. And then lastly, social science concentration offers the most flexibility. So students can take a second half of general chemistry instead of organic chemistry, and they have these different options for the second semester of bio that a lot of students like to take advantage of. These are kind of upper division biology elective courses. For all the concentrations, there are 5 breadth requirements, including the SBUM environmental science core and the social science core, which are kind of unique to Rausser College. And then economics and some general humanities classes. And then going on into the upper division requirements, students in the fall of their junior year take an upper division statistics class, and this class, along with all of the lower division coursework that folks have been doing, really creates kind of the foundation and the base from which students take off into the process of doing their senior thesis. So in the spring of their junior year, they take Intro to Methods of Environmental Science, which is basically reading a bunch of research, learning a bunch of different techniques for doing research, and it culminates with each student writing a proposal for their senior thesis. And then over the course of their senior year, all students take SBUM 175A and B, and that they're kind of guided through the process of doing their own research and writing their own thesis. And they're in that process with the whole cohort of ES majors. So all the ES majors are together through 100 ES and 175 A and B, which is kind of cool. Other than kind of the ES senior thesis sequence, there are 4 other upper division major requirements. So environmental modeling, human environment interactions course, which basically you choose an upper division social sciences course. And then 2 electives. We have, I think, around 200 or 300 different electives, and the list is always growing. So this is really a place where students are able to kind of customize their own experience or take things that are relevant to their senior thesis. And I definitely say that the senior thesis and doing research and getting the support and kind of scaffolding to do research is kind of the most unique standout part of this major.
Great, thank you, Jenny. If you missed it, we put a link to the snapshot that Jenny was sharing in the chat for you, so you can access that. Our next question is for our pals. What is it like to be a student in the environmental science major? And what has been your favorite class or experience as an environmental science major? We'll start with Hannah, and we'll follow up with Aileen and Zeynep.
So I love being an environmental science major. I like that it's provided me with kind of the flexibility to take classes that I want and things that I'm interested in, while also providing me with some structure that shows me what classes I need to take, rather than me having to like figure it out totally on my own, which is great. I'm doing the social science track, and I really like that with the social science track, I've been able to customize it to myself and like not have to take organic chemistry, which I didn't want to do, and get to take more of the ecology classes that I'm really excited about, and kind of join in my own interests of more social sciencey things while still getting to learn about the more hard science ecology stuff at the same time. And my favorite class so far as an environmental science major has definitely been SBUM 116B, which used to be called Rangeland Ecology, but it's now called Grassland and Woodland Ecology, I think. It's taught by Lynn Hunsinger, which is one of the, I think she's the Associate Dean of Students for Rausser College, and she's great. She's a fantastic person. And in that class, we learned all about like the different types of grasslands across North America, and we learned how to identify different types of grass. We got to plant and grow our own grass and like kind of get our hands dirty. And I learned so much in that class. Yeah, definitely by far one of my favorites so far at Berkeley.
Yeah, I think that Hannah like hit the nail on the head. Like the great thing about like being an ES major is like you really have such like a broad like framework that you work with. So like lots of my friends in my lower division classes were pre-med kids, and then like I got to kind of like make my own way for my upper division classes. And then something really special is the senior thesis. You get really close with your cohort of environmental science students, and everyone's projects are completely different. So like my project was on sea turtles, but there are other people that are doing environmental justice work. There are other people that are doing, renewable energy. So that's like the really cool thing, is that everyone kind of finds their passion. That's either through coursework or like their extracurriculars. But yeah, like everyone's just really driven to like do what they can do best. So I do have two favorite classes, and they're very different. One was sustainable industry, which was like all about, like how companies can be sustainable or not so much. Bit of a misnomer, that class. You guys should totally take it. It's actually a new class. And then the other one was herpetology, which is IB 175. And this is a lab course that's also a field course. And so if you ever have the opportunity to take a field course, you totally should. Just like Hannah said, like you can get your hands dirty. So we would go on these field trips and collect salamanders and ID lizards. And so yeah, now I can ID like any frog, lizard, snake, or anything in California. So it's great because I live on the East Coast, so I'll totally use this knowledge all the time. But yeah, no, it's super fun, and yeah, I loved it.
They basically said everything I wanted to say. One of my favorite parts about ES is just how interdisciplinary that it is. You can learn so many stuff from so many different disciplines, and I just value that so much because it opens so many doors for our future. We can literally focus on so many stuff, and I love that I can focus more on biology, because I found that I actually really love biology, and especially ecology. But yeah, that's definitely my favorite part about the major. My favorite class, I haven't been able to take a lot of SPM classes as a lower division student yet. I'm so excited to be in upper division and finally take all SPM classes. I'm so looking forward to that. But my favorite one probably is SPM 2, called the Biosphere. The professor was Ronald Amundsen, and he's an amazing professor. The class is so interesting. It's structured in an amazing way, and it kind of brought in the ecology part that I really loved. And I don't know, I just really love the class, and I think it's my favorite class at Cal so far. So we'll see if that changes, but yeah.
That's so great. I love hearing about all your experiences and what you love about the major and all of your different classes. I think it really highlights the kind of gamut of coursework that students get to take in the ES major. So the next question, also for our pals, is what profession do you hope to have after graduating? And I'll kind of see who wants to pop up when answering this question first.
So I'm a senior, so I guess in theory I should know. But yeah, so I have a bunch of balls in the air. I'd like to go to grad school. I did apply to the Peace Corps. I also did the Peace Corps prep program at UC Berkeley. So it's kind of like a minor certificate program. So that definitely shows you like the flexibility of the environmental science major. So yeah, this summer I'll be interning at this wildlife center called the Loggerhead Marine Life Center. And they monitor sea turtle nesting, so leatherback sea turtles, loggerhead sea turtles. So I'll be doing that until October, and then from there, we'll see.
For me, it's definitely different. I know that I don't want to go into a future of doing like super sciencey science things, which has been like an interesting revelation as an environmental science student, since I'm learning a whole lot of science. But I'm really interested in like environmental education, environmental literacy, science communication, environmental communication. So I'm like hoping that once I get so far, I'll go to grad school in that field and find some sort of career where I'm helping to communicate science to people who maybe don't have a super strong background in science, and just generally get other people excited and interested in and knowledgeable about the natural world, since I think that's a really important thing for people to know and care about.
For me, I honestly have no idea, but I like research, so it might have something to do with research. And I do plan on doing at least some form of graduate school, so we'll see. But as I mentioned before, the fact that this major is so interdisciplinary means that I have a lot of options for the future, which I really like, because I'm kind of indecisive and I know that I will find what I'm passionate about and what kind of job I will want to do around my senior year. Like, I know at the end of junior year, senior, it's always been like that. I'm always kind of like an Arabian horse. I always come from behind, but it's fine. It's totally fine. I take everything in my own pace. So we'll see, but definitely have a lot of options. And I think I would love to do research. I also want to mention one great thing about Rausser College is the SPUR program. So it's basically the research. It's kind of like URAP, but it's only for our college. URAP is the undergraduate research apprenticeship program. So think that, but only for this college. So if you're interested in research, we definitely have a lot of options. And I really want to pursue a project through SPUR. I really want to join a professor. So we'll see how that goes, because I'm going to apply for the first semester of my junior year.
That's so great. Thank you, all of you, for sharing that information with us. So now back to Jenny. What are some common careers that alumni have pursued?
Yeah, so I think something that the student panelists spoke to and kind of illustrated in their answers is that because the ES major is so broad, students go in a lot of different directions after graduation, and it really depends on their interests and also the skills and other experiences that they've pursued while they're at Berkeley. So like some students go into environmental education and teaching. Some students go on to law school and focus on environmental law or get into the policy side of things. Other positions like at nonprofits related to the environment and environmental issues. On the more biology side of things, if students have lab experience, they might become a lab assistant or a lab tech in a research lab. Students have also gotten jobs as like data or GIS analysts, if that's a skill set that they've picked up along the way. And also kind of like in naturalist or fieldwork positions. Kind of continuing the very broad range, folks also decide to go into kind of the more business side of things and look at sustainability, or go into tech or other corporate fields where they can integrate their environmental knowledge. And again, it really just depends on what students' interests are within ES. And I'd say you don't have to know your freshman year or even your sophomore year, but by your junior year, when you get to take those electives, it's a really great opportunity to kind of sense out what you might be more interested in. And also the senior thesis is a great opportunity to kind of like try out a particular field and gain a deeper set of knowledge and skills. And then of course, as Zeynep mentioned, there's opportunities like SPUR and URAP and other things that students can do to kind of test things out and explore within ES what they might be interested in. I think the ES major, because of the research component and the senior thesis, it prepares students really well for graduate school. So we see a lot of students go on to graduate school, master's or PhD programs in a wide variety of fields: engineering, biology, forestry, public policy, law school. And we're going to post a link to the major map in the chat, which is a really beautiful chart and tool that you can check out to see kind of how students move through the major and also where they go afterwards. And it has some specific listings of like positions and companies that folks have moved on to after graduation.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, everybody, for starting us off with those questions. We're now moving on to the questions that y'all have been posting for us. I think we'll start out with, is it possible to take some lower division classes at community college over this summer and transfer those credits to Berkeley?
Yeah, it is. So we will post a link to assist.org, which is if you're taking classes at a California community college, you can use this database to see courses that are equivalent. You definitely can do that. And also you don't have to, you know, the major is designed to be able to fit into 4 years at your time here at Berkeley. So you certainly don't have to, but if you want to, yeah, you can get a head start.
Wonderful. I'm going to go on to some more kind of nuts and bolts of major here. How hard is it to change the environmental science major from another Rausser major, or perhaps if somebody is in LNS and wants to switch to environmental sciences?
Yeah, so it's fairly easy to switch within Rausser College. We'll post a link to the requirements to declare different majors in Rausser College. None of our majors are high demand, so that means that if you meet the minimum requirements, you will be, and show that you can complete the major within 4 years, you will be admitted to the major. So that's nice that students don't have to worry about kind of a more competitive situation. I will say that about half of ES majors, like half of the ES majors that come in declared as ES end up like declaring and switching to a different major. So a lot of folks go to conservation and resource studies or society and environment or MEB, all within Rausser College. Some folks go to environmental economics and policy. And that's great. And part of my job as an advisor is kind of a landing place to direct folks to where, you know, where might be a better fit. So it's totally normal to, you know, land and figure out, oh, this isn't quite right, but, you know, somewhere else is. And that also includes that a lot of students will transfer over into LNS and do a major in LNS that we don't offer in Rausser College. And they have their own set of policies that we can, you know, provide a link to as well. And that, yeah, would be a question for your advisor once you get here too. And there was another question about, did I answer the other question?
Yeah, I think you got both.
Great.
This might be something for the pals. Is environmental science major a good major if you want to work with animals or the environment or environmental law, those kinds of things?
Yeah, I mean, that's the really cool thing about ES is that it totally depends on the person. So yeah, I have lots of friends that are environmental science majors that are pre-law and that have already been accepted into law school. But on the flip side, yeah, I'm totally interested in the wildlife conservation part. So yeah, I would really like to go to grad school and continue studying sea turtles, and all the work that I've done in the past has been turtle related and working with turtles in the environment. And then I think I saw another one that was like, if you're interested in sustainable business, is ES the major for you? It totally could be. Like I said, that sustainable industry class I took, I loved it. It was totally different from anything I had ever learned before, but I know there are other people that had done their senior thesis on understanding the carbon footprint of the US Army, for example. So it can totally depend on who you are, yeah.
I think Leleña might have cut out, but I'm gonna, yeah, okay. Here we go, let's roll with it. So let's see. Here's one that I'm gonna answer. When does class registration begin, and do we talk with our advisor before registering? So all students will go through Golden Bear Advising, which is an online learning module where you'll learn all about the class requirements, and you'll kind of be walked through the process of choosing your classes. You'll also have an opportunity to like express if you want to change majors right from the get-go. We can do that too. And then after you complete that, if you still have questions, then we're available to meet with folks but you'll get a lot of information before class registration. Just make sure to like activate and be checking your berkeley.edu email. Yeah.
And Jenny, we have some questions about if it's possible to do, I guess, sim degree and majoring outside of, I guess, or double majoring versus sim degree, and how possible that is.
Yeah, so students can do a double major or sim degree, and a lot of folks do it. The thing I like to tell people is that it really like fills up your schedule, so it doesn't leave you a lot of room to take very many electives or like courses that you might just be interested to take for fun. And you need to plan for it pretty early. So, you know, by your first year or kind of second year maximum, you need to have a really clear plan about, you know, where you're going. And so, yeah, a double major would be 2 majors within Rausser College. And then a sim degree would be a major in Rausser College and a major in another college like LNS or College of Chemistry or what have you. And you just need to complete both requirements for the majors, and you have a maximum of 2 upper division classes that you can use to overlap.
Amazing. What about, I guess, study abroad opportunities? I know we mentioned Maria. Does anyone want to talk about, I guess, how to kind of factor that into your schedule if we haven't already?
Yeah, so I studied abroad the fall of my junior year, and Jenny had talked about this. So you have to be on campus the spring of your junior year and then all of your senior year to plan your thesis. And then you have to take your stats requirement before the spring of your junior year. So that meant for me that I took stats fall of my sophomore year. So that was no problem. That just meant that, you know, fall of my sophomore year, I'd have that planned out. I did a program through the UCAP, which is the like UC-wide study abroad program. And I studied in Australia at the University of Queensland in the marine biology and terrestrial ecology program. I loved it. There was so much field work. I learned a lot. We did this field work on this island called Stradbroke, and then we got to present our like findings to the indigenous people, the Quandamoka people, and get their insights and their their input on the research that we had been doing. So that was really cool to like interact with the community in addition to doing the research. And then of course we got to be in the Great Barrier Reef and then see kangaroos, so all that fun stuff. And then yeah, I used that study abroad like credit towards my like Peace Corps prep certificate. But yeah, it's definitely really possible. There's like Berkeley Study Abroad where you can do an internship, or you can do different requirements over the summer, or you can do a program just like I did that kind of like fits into your major. So I got to have some major requirements filled in, and then obviously it was very specific to what I'm interested in. But yeah, you could do something that's more like cultural immersion. Like I know that there's like dancing in Ghana, which could be really cool and could maybe fill like an international breath. And that wouldn't necessarily be similar to your major, but it would be really cool to learn about like a different culture. Yeah.
And the link I just posted to the chat is another, that's kind of an overview of all the study abroad opportunities, but especially highlighting our new study abroad database. So you can select your major and then it'll show, okay, here are all the courses at every institution in the world that's approved for it. Here's what you can take where. So that's a really good kind of first step to see what's out there and what's possible, and then have that conversation with Jenny as you kind of move closer to making that happen.
Great. Sorry, I ducked out there for a moment. Our next question is it possible to minor at another college at Cal?
Yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing a geography minor right now, which is in LNS, College of Letters and Sciences. And it depends on like the specific minor you're interested in. Because in these larger colleges, especially like LNS is a huge college, there's different departments and each department is going to have different requirements for the minors. For the geography minor, it's super simple. It's just 5 upper division geography classes. And I happened to already been enrolled in 2 of them. And I was like, what's 3 more? Might as well add the minor. So that's what I'm doing. But another example of that, previously at Cal, I thought I was going to do a marine science minor, and that was a little bit more involved. There was more requirements involved for that, and it just didn't end up working out with my schedule. So you definitely have to check with the department that you're wanting to minor in and like see what the requirements for that might be. But it's super easy to minor in another college. There's definitely not as many classes as adding another major in.
Okay, switching gears just a little bit here. Jenny, maybe could you address if there are any pre-med students? Do you see a lot of pre-med students, and how possible it is to be pre-med or pre-health in the ES major?
Yeah, so there are a few ES students who are pre-med. I'd say a lot of students enter declared as ES and are also intending to do pre-med and end up switching to something like molecular environmental biology or nutritional science, just because the pre-med prerequisites align a little bit better with those majors. For the ES degree, you'd have to take an extra semester of organic chemistry that's not required, and also an extra semester of physics that's not required, and I think also biochemistry that doesn't kind of fit into the major. And then on top of that, you have the required courses for the senior thesis. So for most folks, that's kind of enough that they will switch into something like MEB or nutritional science, just because it allows them to do their major requirements and the pre-med requirements kind of all at once. But there are a couple students every year who are pre-med, so it's possible.
Wonderful. And this next one, I think for the pals, what environmental clubs are the most fun and impactful? And maybe the most like UC Berkeley types of clubs that you might be involved with?
I'm not in any environmental clubs. It's something I wish I had gotten involved in more in my freshman year, and then kind of after then I just had already been involved in other things, so I never ended up getting in clubs, and then school went online, and so then it was harder. But I've heard the Environmental Science Student Association is pretty great. Maybe Aileen can speak to that. But there's a whole bunch of environmental clubs, and I'm sure they're all fun in their own way. So it's something for you to explore once you get here and kind of see for yourself and figure out where you fit in.
Yeah, the Environmental Science Student Association is awesome because obviously you're already really close to, you like get closer with your cohort a little bit sooner. But yeah, they've like helped with like class planning, but then they also do really fun events like the Carnegie Mellon like Natural History Museum. They have like this guy that talks about snails on TikTok, and then he came to one of the meetings, and that was like so fun. I made so many people go to that meeting because I thought that was like a hoot and a half. Other clubs, there's also Beacon, which I am personally not in, but it's environmental consulting, and one of our other pals is in it, so that's really cool. It's like the business side, which is like, you know, really important, obviously, like pushing sustainability through corporations. We also, another club that I'm not a part of is the Students of Color Environmental Science, like a student association, which is really cool. And they really push inclusion and representation in Rausser, which is awesome. And then a really big part of campus is CERC, which is like the Student Environmental Resource Center, and that's through the ASUC, which is our student government body. And I was in like a smaller sub team, which is like the sustainability team. And we did this really cool concert that was solar powered. So we had these like really big like photovoltaic cells that like we were hooked up to all of our amps and stuff. And then we had all these local businesses give us food. And then we did like tie dyeing. It was a hoot and a half. So you can totally do totally different things. And it can be like pushing like a lower carbon footprint of all Cal students through CERC, or it can be something like I did that is just like kind of fun and, you know, getting people involved.
I want to add on, it's not a club, it's technically a class, but it doesn't feel like a class. It's only 1 to 2 units, pass no pass class. It's called a class series called Berkeley Connect, and there's an environmental portion of the Berkeley Connect, and I took that. And through that, you get to meet a graduate student, and you get to understand what they're doing, how they chose their path, which I think was very cool. And it really helped me understand how to go about choosing my own path, because at the time I was a freshman and I basically didn't know anything. And I got to meet other environmental sciences or other people from the Rausser College of Natural Resources, which was pretty cool. So you definitely get close to people in the college itself. And we are a smaller college, so it's very easy to do that, but the Berkeley Connect kind of helps along the process. So that was really helpful. We would just talk about environmental stuff and it was very fun. And it was honestly a way for me to relax. Like 1 hour per week, definitely not a lot of, you don't have to commit to it. It's totally easy. But, you know, just talking with different people, getting together, talking about something we were passionate about was amazing. And it really helped, you know, keep things in perspective, and it really helped me relax.
That is a nice segue to our next question about what opportunities there are for hands-on learning and field work and research and internships. I know we touched on SPUR and URAP a little bit earlier, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the really great thing about being a student in Rausser is like you kind of get the individual attention of being in like a small college. So some of your courses can be really small, but then, you know, you go to Berkeley, which is a great research institution. And I remember coming to Cal Day and being like, there's not a single thing that I could want to study that I couldn't study here. And I was especially blown away by the Museum of Vertebrate Zoology. They had all these animals and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. This is totally what I want to do. So I applied through URAP, which, you know, we already discussed. You can apply to 3 programs. So I applied to this lab called AmphibiaWeb, which basically like produces educational information about frogs, and then also doing like GIS work, which is like, yeah, it's like a computer program where you make maps. And so that was really cool and I loved it. And it totally sparked my interest in herpetology. And then, yeah, my lab supervisor was super helpful in helping me find internships and being a letter of rec. So then that summer I had an internship at this place called the Wetlands Institute in Stone Harbor, New Jersey, which is back home. Yeah, and then later I transitioned to another position at the Museum of Vertebrate Zoology. But I know lots of kids do totally different paths. So you can do SPUR through a faculty initiated, or you can do a student initiated. So I know some students that have been able to do their own independent research, which is something really special. And they can do that under their PI. So like you get to know someone your sophomore year, then by your junior year, you get to do your own type of research. And then, as we said, like research is an essential part of an environmental science thesis. So you will definitely be doing your own research come your senior year. But yeah, there'll definitely be opportunities to do it beforehand too.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I have nothing to add about research. But as far as internships go, being in Rausser College gives you a lot of opportunity and a lot of resources to be able to get internships that you want. We have a career center or a career counselor within Rausser College who kind of helps resume workshops and planning, all that kind of stuff. At Berkeley, we all have access to a website called Handshake, which is like a job search board that Berkeley students, I think other universities have it too, but on the Berkeley end of it, you log in with your Berkeley login information, and there's jobs targeted specifically to Berkeley students. So you have the opportunity to find jobs there. And then also just being a UC student, you have opportunities for other internships that other people don't have. This summer, I have an internship at a climate change research center that was only open to UC students. And so being a UC Berkeley student, sorry, the sun on my face, that's so strange. Being a UC Berkeley student, and especially in Rausser College with the classes I've taken, helped me get an internship that I wanted because I had the experience in relevant coursework at Berkeley to help get me where I wanted to go.
There are also some opportunities at opportunities other than just research and internships. As I mentioned, I'm a ULM. We used to be called UGSIs, no more. But you also have those types of opportunities through Rausser College or through the biology department, which I believe is pretty cool. So through that, I get some teaching experience. I get some quiz making experience. I get to know the professors of the class and the GSIs of the class really well. So those can be amazing opportunities for you as well. And yeah, Rausser College being a smaller college, you definitely get a lot of personal attention. So if you feel like you don't know what you want to do, and if you don't know like where to search for opportunities, your advisors and the college itself can really help you. And at being a smaller college, you definitely get all the attention you may ever want. So I also think that's another great part of being in a college and the opportunities through the college.
That's great. Yeah, lots of opportunities, and I love that you guys are taking advantage of all of those. We have, let's see here, just time for maybe a couple more questions. One for Jenny. How easy is it or possible is it to change concentrations within the environmental sciences major?
Good question. Yeah. So it's pretty easy. Basically, I can, like, as long as you fulfill the requirements, I can change your concentration pretty much up until your, last day of your senior year. There's a couple decision points that students face. So when students decide what their second semester of chemistry is going to be, that's kind of one decision point. So with organic chemistry, that would leave physical sciences and biological science concentration open. Whereas if you took Chem 1B, which is the second half of general chemistry, you'd be going for the social science track. And then there's kind of another decision point with, the second semester of biology, whether you, if you are going down the biological sciences track, you need to take Bio 1A. And then for the physical science concentration, which is the least popular, that one requires 2 semesters of physics and the harder version of physics, so physics 7A, and also the harder version of math. So if you want to do that one, you do have to kind of plan from the beginning that you're doing physical science. If you decide to jump ship and come over to biological science or social science, that happens to a lot of students, and that's totally okay. And if students take physics 7A and then want to switch over, we will accept physics 7A in lieu of physics 8A because it's the harder version of introductory physics. And yeah, Zeynep was in that boat, not to call you out, but it was great to accompany like your process of figuring out what you were actually interested in. And I'm really glad the major allows for that flexibility.
Okay. Really quickly, someone asked how to get in contact with the environmental science, the advisor for environmental science, Jenny. So we will be posting some information at the end of this session on how to get in contact with the advisors. And the kind of additional question to that is, when does registration begin? And do we talk to you beforehand?
Yeah, so I think we might have addressed this earlier, but I'll just state it again. So yeah, so you'll be getting a lot of communication from us in the coming months. So definitely activate your berkeley.edu account and make sure to be checking that email account. And you'll go through Golden Bear Advising, which is an online learning module where you'll learn all about how to register for classes, and we'll be giving, each advisor will be giving a bunch of specific information that's specific to that major. And you'll also have the opportunity that if right off the bat, oh yes, or my major isn't for me, you can switch into another CNR major before you begin, if you like. So there's also the chance for that to happen. And that will happen in June, I believe. Yeah, and we ask that you wait until you complete Golden Bear Advising before getting in touch with us and meeting with us, just because Golden Bear Advising has a ton of really good kind of base information. And so we ask that you go through that and then kind of come to us with your questions where you get stumped or just need some guidance.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, pals, for answering all the questions today. Thank you, Craig, for working everything on the back end. If you have any further questions, we've posted information here in the chat of how to look up the advisors, how to contact the pals, information about the majors, and for general questions, the askcnr@berkeley.edu email. We hope that we will see you this fall at Rausser College. Please take care of yourselves and have a great night. Go Bears.